Hello and welcome to our WIFR Fastcast, a $400 million project to transform the historic Barber Coleman Yards in Rockford moves forward. WIFR's Nathaniel Langley speaks with city leaders and project leaders to learn more.
Hey folks, WIFR's Nathaniel Langley here at what used to be Barber Coleman in downtown Rockford, and the project to bring it back to life can feel like a dead end sometimes, but after meeting with the developer and Rockford's mayor today, well, they're saying the project to turn all of this into apartments, businesses, and more is back on track. Be sure to tune in later today on WIFR and catch it on WIFR.com as we learn what's next.
A 35-year-old man will spend the rest of his life as a registered sex offender when he finishes his prison sentence. David Cardenas will spend 26 years behind bars after he pled guilty to several charges in November. Back in July 2023, Cardenas was arrested for having child pornography in Boone County. He would later admit to the crime and abused 2 kids in Rockford. He must spend 85% of his sentence, and a Boone County judge also sentenced Cardenas to 12 years in prison, and he will serve that same time as the Winnebago County sentences. 39-year-old Brandon Sweetman will appear in a Winnebago County courtroom March 27th. He's accused of stealing a vehicle. Before 2:30 Sunday afternoon, Rockford police say Sweetman drove away from officers several times and stopped in the area of 11th Street and 6th Avenue. He was later taken into custody but was released as part of the Safety Act. A traffic stop in Rockford Monday night leads to the arrest of 20-year-old Joseph Holloway Rockwell. Investigators believe the crime took place near Skyline and Medford Drive. Holloway Rockwell's accused of having a loaded gun, an extended magazine, more than 2 grams of cocaine, and cash. He faces several weapons and drug charges. The Joe Davis County Coroner's Office identifies 17-year-old Jack Zuko of Rochester, Illinois, the teen who drowned at Chestnut Mountain Resort in Galena. Authorities were called after 9 Friday night to the ski resort for a possible drowning. Investigators say Zuko was swimming when he lost consciousness. He was pulled out by another juvenile but died at the scene. They spend hours of the day and weeks making women feel beautiful, but the air hairstylists are breathing in can potentially be harmful. Coming up on WIFR News Now at 5, our national investigative team takes a look at the cost of beauty for people working behind the chair. Our team combs through dozens of complaints made from salon workers and hears from lawmakers fighting for cancer research related to products marketed to women.
When you heard about that study, what did you think?
My first thought was, that really couldn't be us. That was my first thought because I didn't know anyone who had. And then as I started reading more, and then as we as women going in the salon and we're talking and we're saying, well, Susan got cancer. Wait a minute. How? What kind?
Civil rights activist Jesse Jackson dies Tuesday morning at the age of 84. His death follows his struggle with a rare brain disease. Jackson is remembered as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s protege, who became more prominent after his mentor's assassination. His original Rainbow Coalition is historic because it brought together people of all races. The Rainbow Coalition says public observances for Jackson will be taking place in Chicago. There could be an unexpected expense this year. If you thought your student loans were forgiven, starting in January, certain types of student loan forgiveness may be taxable again. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa explains what you need to know.
A change in the tax policy for 2026 has created some confusion over how some forms of student loan forgiveness could be taxed. Robert Farrington, the founder of the College Investor, says from 2021 to December 31st of 2025, the American Rescue Plan Act made all student loan forgiveness tax-free. That changed this year, starting January 1st. Certain types of student loan forgiveness are now taxable.
And this is where it gets confusing because the type of student loan forgiveness is what makes the difference. There are certain types of student loan forgiveness, like public service loan forgiveness, teacher loan forgiveness, death and disability discharge, and borrower defense to repayment, that are always tax-free. And this is by law.
Barrington says other types of student loan forgiveness, such as those related to income-driven repayment plans, as well as certain closed schools, may be taxable. And he says there might be state tax rules to follow. He says the key is to understand what you're getting your student loan forgiven for.
For those that are tax-free, such as public service loan forgiveness, you really don't have to worry. However, if you are part of an income-driven repayment plan, and that is how you're getting student loan forgiveness, you really need to start planning. Now, some people that might face a tax liability actually won't because of complex tax rules like insolvency, and so there are still a lot of exceptions to this.
Barrington says the bottom line is you need to start planning. Maybe putting a little bit in your savings account because you could have an unexpected tax bill as a result of your student loan forgiveness. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
High school students learned about the careers in building and trade industries Tuesday. The three-day Career Expo highlights apprenticeship programs across those industries. Students got the opportunity to have hands-on activities and see some live demonstrations, which represent more than a dozen skilled trades. If you missed today's session, don't worry, as the event will last until Thursday.
Not only want the young people from the rural farm communities that are used to this type of lifestyle to know about this and get access, we want people coming from the city of Rockford, Winnebago County to not only understand the opportunities, but to say, hey, here's what it takes, here is your path to obtain these careers and these apprenticeship programs, and here also are some additional resources to help you along the way if you need some assistance, some guidance, some education in order to be competitive in the program.
The future of Kruger Pool in Beloit is in residents' hands. The city invites the community to take a short online survey to answer some questions, including location, pricing, and property tax impacts. The pool was constructed back in the late 1930s and hasn't seen an upgrade since 1982. You can find the link to that survey on our website at WIFR.com. The Forest Preserves of Winnebago County acquires the Paula Swanson Forest Preserve along Sugar River in Sherland. The 88 acres of land honors Iowa native Paula Swanson, who was an avid bird watcher with her husband Jim. She also volunteered her time with Sand Bluff Observatory and Severson Dells Nature Center until her death last year. And it may be a touchdown soon for Chicago Bears fans as a bill that would help fund a new stadium gains a little bit of momentum. According to Capital News Illinois, the proposed dome stadium would be at the former Arlington Heights racetrack site. This comes as Indiana lawmakers work to build a stadium of their own to bring the monsters of the Midway to the Hoosier State. The pilot bill would freeze the team's property tax assessments to allow them to negotiate a payment instead of taxes. This week marks 3 years since the Bears purchased the racetrack for nearly $200 million. And we all want to live well, and while many of us focus on diet and exercise, lymphatic health is just as important and is closely linked to both. Tisha Powell has a look at how lymphatic drainage massages can help your body in today's aging Untold Extra.
Take a deep breath into your belly.
It might look like a relaxing massage, but this specialized process is actually helping the body reduce swelling and improve circulation. Lymphatic drainage is a technique that focuses on the fluid running just under your skin. Aging Untold expert Dr. Ray Rogers explains how the lymphatic system is an important part of our circulatory system.
Well, it's really important because you're used to blood flow taking things to all different parts of the body, but the lymphatics is how you actually gather up and clear out toxins in that, and it doesn't have its own pump.
And for breast cancer survivors, this type of treatment can offer some much-needed relief.
So the radiation, all that causes scarring and all that, so you don't get drainage in that area.
Expectant mothers like Lindsay Garrod are also good candidates.
It's such a gentle technique. I think I wasn't really sure going into it what exactly it would entail, and it just sort of feels like the most gentle massage you've ever had. But the results are absolutely incredible.
So for pregnant women, you have a whole different physiology that's going on, basically. You know how women, when they're pregnant, they're early on and they get dizzy when they change positions and all that? It's because the blood flow doesn't catch up with the heart.
While hydration, movement, and a healthy diet all support our lymphatic system, a little help,
Thanks, Lindsay.
might just be what your body needs.
Aging Untold, a brand new talk show, premieres right here on WIFR March 2nd at 3 p.m. Right now, you can find more resources on the Aging Untold homepage, and that's at WIFR.com. And I'll tell you what, we certainly aren't as warm as we were here yesterday. That being said, it is still a gorgeous, really condition here across the state line, save for some of those rain chances. Let's take a look now at our hour-by-hour timecast. So, as you can see right about now, unfortunately, we do have some of those overcast skies. So, yes, while it is a little bit warmer in the temperature department, certainly 56 degrees this far into February is kind of unheard of. But unfortunately, we are losing a little bit of that sunshine from our Monday to our Tuesday. That being said, taking a look at the 4 o'clock hour is really going to be the warmest for the rest of the day, 56 degrees. So if you do have the opportunity, might not be bad to just get on out there and see if you can spend just a little bit of time getting some of that fresh air out there. I will say, though, there is about a 20% chance for some precipitation, so maybe not too bad of an idea to maybe pack the umbrella just in case. That being said, as we move into the remainder of our evening, it does look like we're going to remain mostly dry, albeit with some 10% chances for some precipitation once we hit about the 7 o'clock hour. In the temperature department, though, it does seem like things are going to remain relatively warm here. 54 during the 5 o'clock hour, dropping into the 50-degree territory by 6 p.m., and then we're going to drop below that by 7, 8, 9 o'clock. We're going to be sitting at about 49, 48 degrees, and it kind of seems like that's where we're going to stay pretty much for the remainder of the evening and even into the overnight hours before we go back to those 60-degree temperatures here on our Wednesday. So certainly some spring-like temperatures here as we continue on throughout the remainder of our February. Now, those stories that I mentioned here and more will be coming up in our shows this afternoon and this evening at 4, 5, 6, and 10. Of course, coming up here in about 15 minutes or so, we have WIFR News First at 4 with Sydney Stoffregan, so make sure to stay tuned. And of course, make sure to download our WIFR News app as well as our WIFR First Alert Weather app. You're going to do that on your smartphone, and as well, like you see on the TV behind me, we also have our WIFR News app that you can download on those smart TVs. Once again, thank you so much for watching.